Good morning and happy Saturday, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So we are live with Four Seasons Winter 2026 Modern Event. This event, of course, is taking place in Bologna, Italy. I'll do my best to try to pronounce all the European names today, as I butcher them, I'm sure, a lot. But we've got 9 rounds of modern coverage today and then 9 rounds of legacy coverage tomorrow. There's, of course, an amazing crew on site helping run an event, run the stream for you guys here. We've got a phenomenal coverage team helping out today. I'm, of course, am Nan Man or Nan on the interwebs there, and I've got a wonderful co-host today. Yendrik, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm Jędrek, as already Nan said, and I'm excited to cover some modern today.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be great here. Like, of course, yeah, Impact's gonna be running all the crew stuff on site, so they're helping us pick out all of our matches today. Are there any like matches you want to see with Modern? Because Modern's pretty diverse right now.
Yeah. So we've got info that an Elves player is 1-0 in the tournament. So if they keep doing well, I would really like to see Elves. It's the deck that I've played when I was getting into Magic like over 20 years ago. So it's always have like a spot in my heart. But other than that, every competitive deck from the top of the metagame, I think it's a reasonably diverse metagame, and I do like Modern in general. It's the format I definitely played the most over like last decade. So excited to watch some Modern.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm like, it's really cool to see how things have been developing. Like, we had a banning around March of last year with like Underworld Breach, and then there's just been a bunch of sets that come out, but it's like there are a couple top decks, of course, but like even in the case like we've got elves today, they're like if you know your deck, you can do well at these large events. Like if you put in the time and the reps and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what sort of outlier decks might pop up today. As well as just how they do against some of these like top tier meta decks. So
okay.
Should be pretty cool. So how about like round one? We've got a couple of different decks that we're going to be featuring. Like it looks like we might be jumping in and starting out with some of those top meta decks. What do we got to start with here?
We have Espergorio, which is a deck that's been ebbing and flowing in the metagame over the last few years. And against Grixis Flash, a fairly ominous name. I would assume it's a one-shitong deck that's based blue-black, that's been popular for some time now on Modo. I think Aspiring Spike is the person who popularized it, and probably splashing some red cards to combat an expected metagame.
Nice. So like what makes players pick up like an Esper's Gorio as opposed to some of the other like reanimation strategies that might exist in Modern? Like what's the big powerhouses that they're looking for in Gorios?
Okay, so definitely there are some cards that all the reanimator decks play, which is most notably Psychic Frog, which is just a perfect reanimation card because it's both an enabler for your reanimator plan, and it's also just a formidable tool on its own. Like it can win games if it goes unchecked very easily, and it's the best friend with 4Seasons. Just 4Seasons into Frog is one of the most scary openings in Modern. The other thing that's more like unique to Gorio is the creatures they choose to reanimate and how they are reanimating it. Because of how Gorio works, you need to reanimate a legendary creature with it, which is contrary to the other reanimator deck in the format, which uses Persist, which specifically asks for a non-legendary creature. So while there is an overlap in the engine to some extent, you are playing Frog, you are playing 4Seasons, Emperor of Bones. In this deck, you are opting to reanimate Atraxa, first and foremost, and then you have some supporting cast of Griselbrand and Ulamog that mostly rounds out the reanimation suite, so you have enough targets for your reanimation spells. Because Goryo's Vengeance only reanimates for a turn, you are also looking for some way to keep your monster in play indefinitely, and that's where Ephemerate comes in. Just especially with Atraxa, it just reuses all the triggers, which is extremely powerful.
Nice, nice. And now we've got our flash deck up on camera. Like you talked about, it basically is a Dimir shell, and looks like the Grixis element of it is some sideboard cards there. But
it's just Meltdown. I assumed it's gonna be Meltdown and maybe like a Pyroclasm against Energy. Those cards are the most commonly splashed for. This deck is mostly looking to play on your opponent's turn. There is some tap out elements, very very small tap out element with the one Kaito, but other than Kaito, literally every spell in the deck can be cast on your opponent's turn. So you're looking to control the game early on. You have efficient interaction in Spell Pierce and Fatal Push, as well as pitch cards. And then in the mid game or mid to late game, you want to take over with Consult the Star Shots and Snapcaster Mage, as well as One Shitong, which is the new-ish addition to the deck. And it synergizes well with Field of Ruin, which also there is a lot of course, very strong lands in Modern that you want to kill. So Field of Ruin is very nice, as well as just opposing fetch lands are the primary way to enable your One Shitong.
Right. And in Modern, that's going to be all the time. Players are going to be fetching up and shuffling their libraries. So it's very easy for Wang Shitong to get pretty large here. So looks like we're getting things going and started off. A little bit of a mulligan here for a Flash player, but they are starting the game off. Just kind of, like you said, playing on the opponent's turn. So no real turn one, just sort of land go to start things off here.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's like a Thoughtseize, like you mentioned, for the Goryo's players started off and go into that like Frog right after. But we'll see how they kind of set themselves up, because a lot of early on is that setup stage for the Esper's Goryo.
Exactly. And there is a Thoughtseize, like you said, which I don't think there is a counterspell in Luca's deck that can counter this Thoughtseize on turn one, other than Force of Negation, which we don't really want to do. So they just reveal the hand, and it's a fairly strong holding. There is a lot 4 interactive cards that are all good at answering the aforementioned Psychic Frog. Let's see how they line up with Michelle's hand and what Michelle chooses to take.
Yeah, that's going to be the most interesting part here. It's like what gets taken could also give us a kind of a lean into what could be in the hand. And okay, we're not going to, we're leaving a lot of the tools in there, but being able to grab that spell snare off there.
Yeah. I think I spotted Frog in Michelle's hand, which makes sense to take Spell Snare, because even if you push it, the damage or some of the damage is still done by being able to discard your reanimation target. And crucially, there is a counterspell as well as Spell Snare, but Luca only has one source of blue, because the other land in their hand is Swamp.
Yes, exactly. So that kind of like at least that nod of, okay, I have at least a little bit of a buffer for now to maybe be able to stick something and force a little bit of a battle to take place over the Fatal Push here. But like you said, the Frog could get all the work done of just throwing the creatures into the graveyard there, and that's enough.
Yeah. And looks like another counterspell was added to Luca's hand. So if Michelles want to, then the Frog will come down on this turn and will resolve. Let's see how the land situation is on their side. Okay. Electing for...
Yeah, the archaeologist here. Yeah, going to be coming up, going to be able to kind of mill off here a little bit there. So we can be able to kind of do a nice setup with that. So what do you just like, what's the logic behind this over Frog? I mean, you get more cards in there right away. So you maybe don't have a target in your hand that you'd want to pitch.
Yes, I think it's mostly you are playing Archaeologist over Frog if you are lacking either a target to reanimate or Goryo's itself, or ideally both, or not ideally, of course, you would like to have all the pieces, but Michelle did get rewarded for choosing the line, because they milled both Griselbrand and Goryo's Vengeance. Yeah. And now following it with Thoughtseize to take one of the presumably counterspells from Luca's hand.
Yeah, but now the information is revealed. There are 2 counterspells, 2 Fatal Push. So like you mentioned, probably going to be clearing the way and taking one of those out of there. And so now this gets into this little battle of like, okay, I know you've got one left. How much can we fight over it? Where are we going to kind of get that actual fight to take place? Can I get you to use it before I try to go and get the Grizzlebrand back here? So it looks like just checking graveyards real quick, confirming the different cards that we've got in hand.
Yeah,
here.
I think it's mostly they are trying to figure out what's the life total, because there was a lot of tapping on various 4Seasons and Fetchlands in the graveyard. And now it's fairly interesting because Luka can't really crack their Polluted Delta, because if they elect to do so, then Michelle can just respond with cracking the Fetchland of their own and cast Goryo's Vengeance, which is close to game over in this spot. And now we can see something that's definitely one of the most threatening things about Goryo's, because I do believe that Michelle has Force of Negation and a blue card in hand. So even if Luka counterspells, then we can see the Force of Negation countering back.
So actually not going for the counter spell here. So they're letting the Goryo's resolve, letting Grizzlebrand be reanimated up here. So that does give us access to being able to draw a lot of cards and refill our hand, get more tools for this turn here. But it looks like we might be doing a stop here on the untap.
I think I know what's happening, because Luka's draw for the turn was Orcish Bowmasters. So they let the Grizzlebrand get reanimated because if Michelle just draws EOT for some reason, then Luka gets to flash in Bowmasters and win the game on the spot.
Right, a nice little gotcha moment, as looks like what Luka's trying to go for here. And yeah, he's like, okay, I'd like to try to draw. Well, we're going to flash in that Bowmaster. But, there is at least some responses we could be able to do. I see a Solitude sitting here as a potential to be able to kind of flash that in.
Yeah.
So we do have a nice little wizard battle about to take place.
Yeah. There is no white card in Michelle's hand. So they will draw 7 cards, and Orcish Bowmaster will trigger 7 times. And then Solitude can't take care of Bowmasters, but at this point the damage is sort of done. So it actually is quite interesting, yeah. Usually attacking Grizzlebrand just spells doom for the opponent, but right here, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, so we'll have to also see what other tools get picked up. There we go. See the life totals get dropped down here as all of those little pinions going to be starting to take place. So